Buongiorno e buona domenica.
Ciao guys.
Origins 10,000 years ago. Until its modern incarnations today, bread has been an ever-loved sentiment of food.
Oh, shit.
Welcome to another episode of Casimir Salantina, guys. I'm Michael. My wife's name is Anna, but today it's just me. And as I mentioned in my last cooking video, which was pizzas, sourdough pizzas, I'm today making a loaf of bread, and we'll take you through all that's involved, the way I do it, of course. Right, if it's your first time here, thank you for tuning in, and check out all the other videos. I'll link the pizza video at the bottom, at the end actually. It'll be up here or down there, probably down there at the end of the video, you'll see it. Anyway, check it out. Right, today we're starting off with 330 grams of bottled water. I've pre-measured it out, weighed it out, that is. 330, there we go. Okay, followed by my sourdough starter. I have two sourdough starters. This one is a mix of plain and rye flour, not a lot of rye, but and my other one is plain and wholemeal. Today I'm using the rye starter, which is called Rubos. Here's the boss, here's the rye starter, but my other one is called Archie, and he came first. Anyway, we all give our starters names. Alright, so I'm going to weigh in about 100 grams of starter, a little bit more when it's colder, a little bit less if it's warmer, but today we'll do 100 grams straight into the water. If it goes over or under a little bit, it doesn't matter. It says 106, near enough. Right. Alright, so I'm going to mix that through. Right, now we're going to add our flour to the water. 500 grams of flour. As in the pizzas, I'm using the Good Caputo chef brand flour, but any flour works really. I've used the cheap supermarket brand and it works just fine. I like to use this one. 500 grams. Five by one. Okay. And 11 grams of salt. I use sea salt, but normal cooking salt works fine. I've weighed that out already, so 11 grams of salt. Some of these things are a little bit more or a little bit less is okay. I have put 12 grams of salt in, I've put 10 grams of salt in, but it's up to you. 11 works well for me. Okay, so we've got 330 grams of water, 500 grams of flour, 11 grams of salt, and that's your mix. That's it. We'll mix that through. You can do this by hand. You can use a good solid fork, or you can use one of these great gadgets. This first mix is just a rough mix, just to combine all the water and the flour together. I like to get my hand in there as well. A little bit of water in the bowl. Okay. Just a rough combined, first one. Okay. This will now sit covered, however you want to cover it. I just use a freezer bag. It'll sit for between 30 and 60 minutes, and then we'll start our stretch and folds. So stay tuned, we'll see you shortly. Welcome back, guys. It's been about 50 minutes, so between 30 and 60 minutes is fine. So I'm going to now do our first set of stretch and folds. Okay, so we'll wet the fingers so it doesn't stick. Scoop it up from underneath, lift it up, give it a bit of a jiggle, fold it over onto itself. Turn the bowl, lift it up, give it a bit of a jiggle, fold it onto itself. Repeat. Don't stretch it up too high, because you'll break any gluten development. Okay, already you can see that it's starting to become smooth already, so that's good. And the whole dough wants to pick up now, so that's enough. Right, so we'll let that sit for 30 minutes. And we'll do 3 more with 30-minute gaps in between each stretch and fold. See you then.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, guys. Time for stretch and fold number 2. Okay. Scoop it under. Give it a jiggle. Over you go. I found I get much better loaves when I do a little dance while I'm doing this, okay? See you in 30 minutes. I've made focaccia. This could be another video. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested to see how I make my focaccia. Sourdough focaccia, that is. Okay, stretch and fold number 4. See you in 30. welcome back for stretch and fold number 4. Here we go. Okay, as you can see, the dough is now nice and smooth, soft. So we've done 4 stretch and folds over a 2-hour period every 30 minutes. Now we'll let that sit on the bench to do its rise. We want to get just past the halfway mark. We don't want to go full double in size. It's winter here at the moment, so it's going to be a lot slower. I normally make my bread in one day. I start in the morning. It does its rise on the bench after the stretch and folds. I end up putting it in the banneton into the fridge overnight to bake the next day. But today I've made it the day before. It'll sit on the bench for the next 4 or 5 hours. It'll go in the fridge to slow it down overnight. Tomorrow I'll take it back out and it will finish its bulk ferment on the bench. Then it will go in the banneton and I will video all that for you. So that's it for the moment. Cheers. Sourdough focaccia. Rosemary sea salt, olive oil. Let me know in the comments if you want to see how we make one of these. Okay, welcome back. It's the next day. We came home last night. The dough had been in here for about 5-6 hours maybe and hadn't risen much. I'll put a photo up on the screen now. You'll see what it looked like last night at about 10:30. Anyway, went in the fridge overnight. It came out this morning at about 7 o'clock. It's now 2 p.m. So I'll show you what it looks like here now. As you can see, it has risen from what it was. Probably not double size, but it's what we want. I'll do a quick Windowpane test again. Make sure it is ready. I'll just show you here. Wet the fingers. Stretch it up. You can see it's not falling apart, not breaking open, so it's fairly strong, which is what we want. Okay, so now we're going to do a pre-shape. You don't have to do a pre-shape. I've got into the habit of doing one. You can just shape it and pop it straight into the banneton. But I like to do a pre-shape and let it sit on the counter for 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes before the final shaping. Shouldn't stick to the bench if it's fermented correctly. Okay, how good does that look? Alright, the pre-shape, we're just going to fold it over onto itself, flip it over. We just want to get it into a bit of a tight ball. I used to do this with my hands, pulling it back like that there, pulling it back like that there. If you don't have one of these gadgets, you can just do it the old-fashioned way like that. If you've got one of these, scoop it and turn it. And depending what shape we're doing this long shape. There, not round today. I'll just get it into that shape to start with. Then we'll just pop it here onto a bit of semolina. I like using semolina for the crust. And we'll let that sit on the counter for about 1/4 hour or so. And then we'll come back for the final shape and it will go in the fridge overnight till tomorrow. Now keep in mind, if you want to do all this in one day, which is what I normally would do, you would not do the overnight thing in the fridge like I did. You would start earlier. Yesterday I didn't start till probably 1 p.m. So if you start about 8 in the morning, 8 or 9 in the morning, you can get to this point in the evening depending on the temperature in your house. If you're in a very cold house like us, you can pop it in the oven, but don't turn the oven on, just turn the light on only. It's a nice warm environment, okay? But if you start early enough, it should be fine by the evening, and then you've done it all in one day. But this will give it a bit extra flavour as well because it's been in the fridge for an extra night. Anyway, we'll see you in about 1/4 hour. Okay, we're back. It's time for shaping. It's been close to 1/2 hour. but as I say, you can do 15 minutes. Alright, so I've got to coat the banneton with rice flour to stop the dough sticking to it. I use a little 2-leaf strainer. I also do it by hand. You can take your pick how you do it. Sometimes it doesn't quite come out fast enough, but this gives a good even coating here. Okay, yeah. Or you can just coat it with your hand like that. These want a fairly good coating, stop it sticking. Okay, alright, so shaping of the dough. We've done our pre-shape. We'll flip it over there. Now, the way I shape it is not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just my way. So there's probably a good spot for a song there actually, which I might just pop in there. Okay, so you'll see all sorts of different ways to shape it online. This is just how I do it because I haven't 100% mastered it. So I'll fold it over onto itself both ways. Then I'll grab it on the end and I'll roll it up, stretching it out slightly as I go so it fits the banneton nicely. I'll pinch the ends closed, but they will close up in the banneton overnight in the fridge anyway. Then I'll grab my scraper. I'll just give it a few turns here. I'll get it to the shape I want it for the banneton again. You'll see it coming out all over the place, but that's okay. You can do the hand thing if you like. Alright, scoop it up, side down, drop it in there like so. And here I do what they call a bit of stitching. I'll grab it from one side and pull it over just to tighten it up a little bit in there. Okay, just squeeze the ends. It will settle in here overnight into a nice shape. And fine semolina on the bottom because it gives a nice crust. We like a nice chewy crust on ours. You don't have to do semolina. You can just throw rice flour if you like. But I put a bit of semolina on there. Make sure it's not sticking on the sides. Okay, there it goes into the fridge overnight for baking in the morning. We'll come back and show you how we bake and what we bake in. I have 2 Dutch ovens, they're both round. I have a Dutch oven that fits this one really well. But today we're doing this shape and I don't have any problems usually, but we'll show you that in the morning. In the fridge we go, we'll see you in the morning. Good morning guys, welcome back. It is the next morning, it's bake morning. We're baking our bread today. It's about 9:30. The dough's been in the fridge since, I don't know what time was it, 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon probably, so it's had a good 15 hours, 16 hours cold ferment. So preheated the oven with the Dutch oven inside there. It's on 250. I'll bring it back to 240 degrees Celsius. Okay, so here's our dough after a night in the fridge. Okay, it gets a little bit moist on the top. It absorbs some of the flour, so it doesn't stick to the baking paper. I just give it a little dusting with some semolina or rice flour, whichever you prefer. Okay, we're going to tip it onto my baking paper. I like to do it this way. Flip it over like so. Okay, before I take that off, there's many different ways to score it. If you want the nice ear, you'll be cutting it from one end across like that, so it's on a bit of an angle from one end to the other. I don't worry too much about getting a good ear because within an hour or two we're going to eat it, so it doesn't matter. If I do a seeded loaf, I normally do 3 slices this way. With this one I might just do a bit of a squiggle thing. So before I take that off, I'll get the Dutch oven out of the oven so it's ready to go. It's been preheating in here for a good 30 or 40 minutes. Some people say preheat it for an hour, but I find once it comes to temperature a little bit longer, that's fine. That's all you need. Okay, alright, so let's get this off. There's a beautiful bread there. I use semolina again on the top because I like that nice crust. We like it nice and chewy, but you don't need to do that. Okay, alright, so as I said, for the ear, you start about there, you cut it on an angle across down to there. But today I'm just going to do a bit of a squiggle like that. That's all I need. I don't want to go too deep. That will open up in the oven. We can do a couple little notches there too, just for the hell of it. Okay, put the lid off here. Going to pick it up with the baking paper carefully into there. I like to give it a bit of a spritz with water to add a bit more moisture in there to create some more steam. On it goes. If I was doing a round, I only have 2 round Dutch ovens. The other Dutch oven is a smaller one than this. So when I'm making a round loaf, it fits nice and snug into the Dutch oven, into the smaller Dutch oven. So it doesn't spread, so the only way is up basically, but this still works. So this will go into the oven now with the lid on for about 30-35 minutes or thereabouts. And then the lid will come off and we'll bake it for an extra probably 15 because we like a nice dark chewy crust. Okay, it's been about 35 minutes. We're just going to have a look in first to see if we want to take the lid off. Let's see what it looks like. Oh yes, it's got a nice rise. It's starting to brown, so we'll leave the lid off. The steam has done its job very well, and we'll give it another probably 15 minutes. I quite often will take it out of the Dutch oven after 10 or 15 and put it straight on the rack, only because we like it nice and dark and chewy. You don't need to do that step. There's plenty of room in the Dutch oven to brown it, and we'll show you shortly. Further to what I was saying earlier, you can see the difference in size. This is our smaller Dutch oven compared to the larger Dutch oven, which I've just taken the lid off. And when I make a round one, as I said, this is the size of the round one. It's about the size of the bread once it goes in there. So the bread does settle and relax a bit when you put it first into the Dutch oven. So with this small one, it hasn't got much room around the edges to relax. It'll just hit the wall. So the only way is up for it to cook. So I get a nice rise when I do it that way. But as you saw in the oven with the larger Dutch oven, it's risen quite well. A lot of that has to do with your starter as well. If you have a nice strong starter and you've shaped it well, it's going to rise well. Also on Dutch ovens and the way you cook, if you don't have a Dutch oven and you want to open bake in the oven, when I open bake, I bake on a pizza stone, which I have a couple of pizza stones there. I'll have a pizza stone on a higher shelf, and on the bottom shelf, this is my setup. I roll up some old towels tightly. I'll pour boiling water over those towels straight out of the kettle. It's just sitting in an oven tray there, and then that will go into the bottom shelf down there about 5 or 10 minutes prior to my bake. Then I just put the bread onto the pizza stone and give it about 15 to 20 minutes, and the steam coming off here creates enough steam to make your bread rise. Then you take that out of the oven about 15 minutes into it, and it'll just cook the rest without steam. Anyway, I know in America and places they have hot locks in cast iron saucepans. I don't have one, so this is my setup and that works fine. Okay, as I said earlier, I like to take it out of the Dutch oven and put it straight on the oven rack. It's a totally unnecessary thing to do. You do not need to do this. This is just something that I do, okay? Put a tray underneath so I don't make a mess from the semolina. Probably just about a good colour for most people. It's got a nice rise, but we like it a bit darker, so straight on the rack. You don't need to do this. I don't need to do it. I'm not sure why I do it. That's just me. Anyway, it's got a good rise because we did that little song and dance earlier when we were doing the stretch and fold, you know. I got you to do a little dance and sing a little song. It helps, I'm telling you, it does. Trust me. You trust this man? Okay, time to take it out. I've given it 5 or 6 minutes, probably only straight on the oven rack, and it's looking good. But I don't want to go too dark because we don't want our teeth to, you know, to be too chewy. Oven there. A little bit darker than what it was. And that's how it ended up looking. Okay. So, let me know in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed it, if you have any questions on the process, I'll be happy to answer them in the comments. If you'd like to see more of my baking, like the focaccia I showed you earlier, I also do sourdough hot English muffins. Well, they're hot because they're out of the oven. Well, they're cooked. Nonna's biscuits. I make some Nonna's biscuits, which I could do a video on. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're interested in that sort of thing or not. I hope this has helped you along the way of your sourdough journey. And that's it for today. I will finish with a couple of shots of the bread close up. Ciao for now.